Well, welcome everyone this morning. I just want to say thanks for those who were able to get here in this horrible weather and those that signed in via Zoom. Thank you for being here for the R3 meeting today. We have it billed as a planning session. So we just basically want to talk about some of the things that we've been going over the last few months and kind of where the direction we're essentially kind of heading towards. So for those that are here, we are going to do just a light lunch after the meeting. For those of you at home, you'll just have to go to your own refrigerator. Hopefully there's something there. Maybe we can get Pastor David to start us off with a prayer.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to join together like minds and like hearts for your purpose of establishing kingdom authority, kingdom freedom upon the face of the earth. We thank you, God, that you've called us together for such a time as this. And so we ask for your wisdom and understanding to be released by your Spirit, the hearts and minds of each one of us. We thank you for those that are at home, that are connected on Zoom. The technology is available to be able to join together. So we lift up the name of Jesus. We ask for safety through those still coming in the midst of the snow. And we watch over them and guide them and protect them in every aspect. We give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So maybe we can start off with introduction because we've got some new faces here and some new folks online as well, possibly. So we'll start with one of the newest right here, Matt. If you can just give us your name and organization you represent or reason for being here today.
Awesome. So my name is Matt McCall. I live in Hastings. I have a wife and 2 kids, one on the way in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So very excited. I have just started an organization called Moving Mountains Ministry. Our goal is to walk a pathway with people out of poverty and hardship to 5 different steps that we'll walk along with them. Step 1 is getting them some form of housing placement, shelter. Step 2 is job or employment. Step 3 is reliable transportation, either maintaining, repairing, or donating them a vehicle if that's the need. Step 4 is financial training, coaching, to make sure that they can actually keep going with all of these things that we're providing for them. And then step 5 is life coaching, whether that may be marital, pastoral counseling, recovery coaching, in whatever area they would need it. That's where we're aiming to help. And so the whole goal of this is to move people from complete and utter dependence on everybody else to complete independence in themselves, feeling free and independent to help other people. And so our goal is to walk that pathway with them, to help give them the tools and resources to actually move them forward.
Great. Welcome and thank you for being here today. And it's just snow.
Dennis Schillingworth, and I'm working with Rise Up Recovery and the Addiction Recovery Ministry in Hastings as well, and a friend of Matt. And yeah, so that's what I'm working, the organization I'm working. And I'm new to Minnesota and the snow and just loving it. So I lived here from the West Coast.
It keeps coming, you'll get to love it a lot more.
Well, my name is Brian Connery. This started up a nonprofit back in September. It's called Waymaker Ministries. And I've been doing jail ministry for about 12 years. Started into reentry, actually almost pioneering that 5 or 6 years ago in Chisago County Jail. And started up this ministry so that I can expand into other counties. I've done that a little bit here and there. Been fighting opposition and a lot of challenges, especially with traveling and distances and being told that they're locked down. We can't get in. So I'm excited to be here today because I've already heard many of you are part of ministries that I refer people to every day. Waiting at 12 seats. And so I'm looking forward to making acquaintances and friendships with you guys and actually putting faces to the places that I saw these people. And finding new ones, thank you for doing this.
Great, great, glad to have you here.
Randy Washington is my name, representing Freedom Works right in North Minneapolis. We are transitional housing and services. We are looking to help individuals reconcile with God, family, and communities.
I'm Pastor Dwight Anderson. I'm the Executive Director of Prison Mission Association. And Norm Anderson, who I met at the R3 almost 8 years ago, has retired now. And so he wrote this book, The 12 Seeds. And so he's donated that to, he's retired basically, and donated the book to us, and we publish it now. So I'd like to pass my card around. If you don't have my card, take one of those. And if you want a book, I only have a couple workbooks left, but if you want a book, and if you want any more books, we can get you those. People donate and give us money to print the books. And then with Prison Mission, what we do is we provide free Bible correspondence courses, both in English and Spanish, and then with college credit for doing our courses. So if you want anybody in the prison, or actually, they don't have to be in prison to get the college credit either, but do the correspondence courses, college credit as well. So, yeah, give me a call or shoot me an email, or you just email me the prisoner's name, prison ID number, and then the prison and the address, and we'll mail it out to them for free. So everything we really offer, we don't charge for. So, and if you do want to get our newsletter, I have a clipboard here. I think I got it around too. If you want to get our updates, I do monthly updates, and we can let you know what's happening. We're excited about going into Stillwater. They have the transition fair on March the 2nd. We're at a table for PMM and 12 Seeds. And then actually, I'm now the pastor of Bethesda Church in Fire Lake. So our church is going to have a table at the transition fair as well. So if you don't know about the transition fairs, I can let you know that because it's been a real good opportunity for us. Since I became the director, we've added 21,000 new students since I became the director of UML all across the country. We're in all 50 states, pretty much every jail and prison, and in 28 different countries. So God has been blessing incredibly. So I'd like to be of help to any of you guys for helping me with your churches as well, because we've got the resources in the Bible studies that can help the site and equip them to reach people with the gospel.
Pastor David Springer, I'm currently working with R3 Collaborative.
Oh, can I jump in? Oh.
Yeah, I'm Claire. I'm sorry I'm late, you guys. This card thing.
You made it.
I made it.
Oh, yeah, and I'm Sarah Raymond, and I'm here with Claire and with Dawn. We're here from People Incorporated, and we have a program, Corrections Integrated Support, and we are working off of a SAMHSA grant, and we are in the Anoka County, Ramsey, and Dakota counties, working in the jails, workhouses, and focusing on that transition time. So we work with them in the jail and in the workhouse, and then really try to support and connect with a lot of the different agencies around this table in supporting that transition time and also providing mental health services and just trying to reduce barriers that people face after incarceration.
I'm Amy Steffen, Media Relations Manager with Midway. We are kind of that next step. So if somebody you're working with needs treatment, medium intensity residential, intensive outpatient, or outpatient, let us know. I passed around, we have a new form that just has all of our locations, all the contact information, each level of care, all in one place. Kind of describes our housing partnerships that we have. We partner with recovery residents, sober homes, and pay for the client to live there as long as they're in treatment with us. We don't own or operate any. What I forgot to print was we, just in case anybody's interested, we do lunch and learns for CEUs, and we partner with other organizations. We are doing one, and I can email this out to you, Ron, maybe you can blast it out. Next Thursday, the January 26th. It is partnering with Care Counseling, and it's called Transitions and Change. And the presenter, Alice, actually used to work at New Way, and she's fantastic. It's all virtual, so you can just pop on. It's 1 hour. You get a CEU if you need it, or just some great education and more connection. So glad to be here. If anybody wants my card, I'm going to pass it around. Don't feel obligated to take one, but good to be here.
Great.
But you're obligated to take two.
Right.
And I don't have to. Just kidding.
I'm Dawn. I am on the team that Sarah just introduced. I'm the mental health practitioner.
My name's Matthew Emerson. I'm the founder of Social Services Minnesota. We provide a place for crisis resources in Minnesota, and we also have 25 beds for men in crisis. I have residents right now that came from People Incorporated and from New Way.
Yeah.
And from Freedom Works.
Yeah. What's your organization again?
Social Services of Minnesota.
Okay.
The Bryan House Initiative.
Okay.
And he's also pretty good technologically too, to get us
Yeah.
up and running. So, an IT guy. John, we don't want to skip you.
Am I here?
You're here.
I had the privilege of being glad to be alive. And I celebrate 21 years sobriety this month. And I'm proud to be part of this organization on the board. And I'm known for the founder of Rain Homes, which has a network that runs from Longmont, Colorado, a suburb of Denver, to Toma, Wisconsin, and places in between. So we're in six states. And happy to work with Matthew and his new endeavors. And that's essentially what Rain does, is get things started. So I could be the founder of Zachary Place in Duluth, or Crossing Home in Moorhead, or my father's house. And those are all organizations that I had the privilege of getting off the ground, up and running, passing the baton, and so it can be locally owned, locally operated, locally supported. So I'm just glad to be here and be a part of what this organization does, and to see everyone here. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Now we're going to jump over to the folks on the Zoom. Maybe we can start with Mary Moss on the upper left.
Okay. I'm Mary Moss, and I work with John Henderson in Rain Homes. And I want to say I'm very grateful that we're able to Zoom, because I wanted to attend this R3 meeting. I'm grateful to be part of it, and I appreciate Zoom.
And how about Faye Connors?
Good morning, everyone. I come here wearing a few hats. I'm on the board of Twin Cities Prison Ministry, and what we do is try to engage more Christian participation in prison ministry. We put on workshops and conferences throughout the year. When COVID started, we started producing Ignatian meditation videos that we on a weekly basis that are based on the weekly scripture, and they go into 8 Minnesota prisons. We also have a booklet of things that people can participate in. Our Pen Pal program has about 800 800 participants throughout the United States. We participate in REC and Chorus, and we're going to be giving a Chorus weekend at Randy Washington's Freedom Works in February. So that's the one hat that I wear. The other hat is that as of August, we are the coordinator for the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis for prison ministry and coordination of corrections. So that means that we schedule Mass and communion services and Catholic studies, Bible studies within as many prisons and county jails as they'll let us in. So we're working towards trying to get in as many as we can. And that's it. Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Thank you. And Mary Cardinal Peterson.
Morning. I'm Mary Cardinal Peterson. I am also presently working with R3 Collaborative and Rain Homes. I also am the chair of the Minnesota Corrections Association Legislative Committee. And with the new session going on, it's going to be busy. We're hopeful that things will get moving this year. Also, there was an email sent out to Ron, and John had sent out an email about the legislative committee is starting a full circle advisory group. We're looking for people who have been incarcerated at least 5 years and then have been successfully living in the community for 5 years to help develop the startup framework for an advisory group, first for the legislative committee, but also to work with legislators on new laws, policy changes, as well as Department of Corrections, leadership and policy. Commissioner Schnell is also supportive of this. So applications for our startup group are due January 31st. And so we're looking for 10 to 12 people to start up, and we can resend out the information so that you have the application and referral forms. And if you know people too, if you know, please pass on the information. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Great, Mary. And if anybody wants, you know, that information or the application, they can also send our email as well, and we'll pass it on to them if, you know, if they didn't receive that email initially, but we'll make sure it's available. So, great. And I was gonna call on Bill next, but I don't know, there's something about your name there, Bill. It's his hand spelled, so.
I know.
Let's go with Bill.
I gotta talk to my partner about how her name showed up. She's a computer whiz, not me. Anyway, I'm Bill Betzler, and I work with John Henderson and Rain Homes.
Thanks, Bill. Good to see you. And David, we haven't seen you for a little while, or at least I haven't. Good to see you.
Yes, well, I can see that the sun is coming in, or the snow is coming in behind me, so you might not be able to see, but good to be here. I was going to make it down today, but then I found out that my prosthetic insole is ready, so I'm ready to go. I have to go to St. Cloud and get that. That's the only excuse I'm going to come up with right now. I'll think of something later on. I'm the executive director of New Life in Christ Ministry, Discipleship Reentry Ministry. And since Diane Lindeman isn't on today, she had actually to go get some foot surgery herself. I'm representing the Charis Prison Ministry Board. I'm also on the R3 board as well. So good to see everyone from a distance, and very interested in hearing what's going on the rest of the day.
Great to see you again, David. And Steve Peterson, if you can hear us. You have to unmute. Okay, he maybe stepped away from the camera.
He's
on a trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's on his sabbatical,
Yep,
and he's on his cell phone, and he just communicated with me, so he's there.
okay.
But he's another IT challenged individual like myself. And so he can hear us, so we can volunteer him for whatever we want.
If anybody has any needs, just assign Steve Peterson to the
Well, not
person who's gonna
to
take care of
object.
that. Yeah. He's probably driving, so we should leave him alone.
So Steve is a transportation coordinator for the homes. Here he is calling right now.
I think he's nervous.
Well, guess what? We just volunteered you for 5 projects when you returned. The host.
No,
might
we can try,
want to,
we can
but,
try.
you know.
I can do that. You can hang on.
All right. Well, do you want to stay on this line, and I'll just put you up when you want to say something?
Yeah, click the blue button.
Oh, go over here.
Just click the button.
Well, that's asked on.
Oh, yeah.
Here, hang on a second. Let me try.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
We can put him in the way now.
Click on that.
There you have a microphone with a slash through it, a red.
Oh,
slash.
that's a short.
Try to right click on his name, on his picture. Or move over to it. It's there.
Thrown the phone across the room. Have you tossed the room, have you tossed the phone across the room?
I think it helped me. Wouldn't want you to unmute something.
He can hear you.
We're excited. Thank you.
Yeah, Randy says thank you, Steve. We're just gonna keep moving along, Steve. Sorry. All right, God bless. Is that Jerry Danielson?
Mary, Mary Cardinal, did you hear that? What was it, Jerry?
Yeah.
Jerry Danielson is on. with
Okay,
Steve Peterson.
I'll pass the message along. All right. There.
More
I knew he could
technology.
hear us. because he was texting me.
Well, we're glad you can hear us, Steve. And Mary, Steve was saying he's with
Jerry Danielson,
Jerry Danielson, who wanted to say hi to you.
you had him in, Lino, or
You probably had him along with about 8,000 other folks at Lino, so
he was an elderly gentleman in SOTP that had to go to Indiana after he was released.
Oh, Jerry, okay.
Oh, okay.
all right.
It'll come back.
And Steve is doing a well check for us in Indiana.
There you go.
Okay, I'm done.
So we build this as a planning session.
Anybody needs the Wi-Fi. Sorry,
It's the Wi-Fi direct.
block, Wi-Fi is blocked,
Is that your phone number?
yes.
That's their phone number here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Got it.
yeah, I was in this building for way too long. Then I retired.
Again. So we build this kind of loosely as a planning session because we've been doing, since we got up and running and started with in-person meetings. We've been to several different organizations. We've been to New Way, we've been to Freedom Works, we've been to, I'm trying to remember all of them. Teen Challenge, we were there.
Ujama.
Ujama. So we've been to a lot of locations, others that I don't,
And that's just in the past year.
yeah, just in the past year. We're looking for opportunities to engage with other organizations as well. People Incorporated as example, for places that can host meetings, just so that people can take a tour, get familiar with the services, the resources, how they connect individuals that they're working with your programs and services. And I think that's been very valuable over the last year, especially since we've gotten up and meeting in person now rather than just on Zoom. But obviously, we learned through the pandemic that Zoom has been a very valuable resource to us as well. And it's good to hear that the prisons are starting to open up a little bit again, but that could all change tomorrow if there is any type of resurgence of COVID or norovirus or flu or anything like that can cause them to unfortunately have to shut down or dial back. My understanding is, for the last few years, even prior to my retiring from Department of Corrections, trying to get Wi-Fi extended throughout the facilities, tablets that could be used by the incarcerated individuals to participate in programs and services. And that has not come to total fruition yet. I'll get there. Because they had contractual issues with their tablet provider and they seem to continue to go on ad nauseum, which is unfortunate because I think there are a lot of valuable resources out there that folks could take advantage of if they did have access. So we're still hoping and praying that they'll get there at some point. But there's been a lot of things as we've been out there meeting with folks and taking a look at programs and services. And we've been kind of noodling around, how can we get better connected? How can we make sure that people that we are hoping to serve get to where they are directed or referred to and actually receive the services, or if it's not appropriate or not a good fit, are they then referred to another organization? And did that referral take place? And so we've been looking at some opportunities, and one of them I'll bring up as part of this is an individual who was at Goodwill Easter Seals when we were there, Allison Alstrom. And she represents Unite Us. I don't know who might be familiar with Unite Us in the room and the software that they provide available. Can I get a show of hands?
Just from the meeting.
Just from the meeting, okay. So others are not. And I guess we're going to, one of the things we talked about, and this is their kind of the brochure that she provided. I only have the one, but I can pass it around. But one of the things it brought to mind for us, and it was one of the things that I struggled with at corrections when I was there, when we looked at all of the nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and the for-profit organizations. They'd always bring in, oh, hey, here's our statistics. Here's who we've served. Here's how many we've served. Here's how many were successful. And there was never really a good way to track it across the entire system or across different organizations. And Allison came along and she brought up this software that is going basically nationwide that they're trying to get established. And it has a ton of resources available and listed as providers within their network. This software that they provide is free to nonprofit agencies. There is no cost for it for a nonprofit agency. You have to apply, get set up as a nonprofit provider, and you can get listed as a resource. And it's really incredible software. I mean, you just click on down the line, you can get a whole host of agencies, whether it's for recovery, medical, mental health, housing, all sorts of reentry programs, food, clothing, shelter, just a veritable large number of resources that they already have connections to. They are in Minnesota, they're nationwide, and they are able to add and want to add as many agencies as possible, for-profit and not-for-profit. The for-profit folks do have a fee assessed because they're a for-profit agency, but all of the not-for-profit agencies and faith-based organizations that are nonprofit can get access to this software for free. What it does allow you to do, and John, chime in, if the conversations we've had, I went through kind of a training with Allison online, and it was just really incredible, the ability to refer somebody out, and this is all HIPAA compliant. They take care of all the data privacy, all the HIPAA requirements. But as example, if someone comes to one of your organizations or to R3 and they're looking for resources, you can literally go in, pull up all the resources that are available nationwide, or you can narrow it down to, Minnesota, the region that you're in, and get them referred to that resource. And more importantly, what it does is it provides in essence, feedback. The person is referred, the referral is accepted, or it's rejected for a reason. They can plug in, well, this person doesn't fit our criteria, or whatever the case may be. And then you know that. And you can look for other resources. Or they can go in, they can say, and type in the notes, person came to us, we referred them and provided them with housing, or we provided them with clothing, or we provided them with, food, or we assisted their family in some way. And they can plug all that into the notes, and you as the referring agency can get information back that it was successful. Whereas now, it's typically been word of mouth. And it's, they come, folks would come to an R3 meeting, they'd say, hey, I know a guy who's looking for a job. They have employment opportunities. I know a guy who's looking for housing, or a woman who's looking for housing for their family. And there was never a good way to get feedback. Unless, you had a relationship built with somebody that you sent them to, and they'd call you back and let you. The other thing they can do with this resource is they can track essentially how organizations are doing. They're not sharing that information broadly, but in my conversation with her, I said it's one of the things that's good to know. I mean, if you've got an agency or an organization that you're referring to, and they're successful in connecting people with services, you'd like to know that. Or do they just fall off the edge of the cliff and they don't get connected with services? So there's ways that they can track that. Now, they don't put that out there because there's always a lot of hesitancy by individual organizations. Oh, yeah, we take the right services. Now we don't look like a, preferred provider or something. So there were a lot of interesting pieces that they could do with providing that information. John?
And the nice part is you type in the referral, you get a response back that they've got it, usually within hours. They say within 24 hours, business hours. And then you can also get an update as to what was done with this referral. And you will be notified as to progress. I'm not sure because we're going to get, so we're going to get a demonstration.
That's
at our
what
next meeting right here next month. If you want to know more, Allison will be doing a demonstration for us because as an organization, we want to make that available to all members of the organization. So it's not, it's going to be an R3 collaborative site, but you're welcome to see how it works. And if you want to use it in your organization, like Ron mentioned, if you're a nonprofit, it's no charge.
Team Challenge is already on this and they're using it with their clients to help get them connected with services and to see where they end up. There are several different organizations on there. And this kind of came out of, I think, initially the healthcare field, behavioral health, people leaving treatment facilities and so on. And, this is kind of where they said, we really need something that is global and universal, and we can really start to track how people are doing and making sure that they're getting connected to resources. So,
They're in 46 states right now.
We're going to sign R3 up because the navigators like Bill and Mary and David here that are working, and Steve who's online, working to connect people. They've been building a resource list themselves that they use, but this is going to give them added resources and added options for referral. And so hopefully we can get other organizations that are attending our 3 meetings to consider this, because this would be a really fantastic tool.
The main objective that we thought would be real beneficial is the time factor. Because if you're going to make a mental health appointment, how many months are you going to wait for that appointment? So this is kind of gives you, even though we're not medical staff, kind of gives you that same type of access. At least that's our understanding.
And even for your own organization, if you want to join them, if you're a nonprofit, there's no charge to it. But if you know of another agency that probably could really use this, you can submit that information and they will contact them and try to be inclusive of them too. So that they're building their own organization through referrals from us.
Right. And that's what we thought was extremely valuable. And that's the whole premise behind this, is getting as many organizations as possible on this. So that, because now, as I'm sure you all know, if you have any healthcare and you go on to log into MyChart or, Health Partners or whatever, it's all kind of segmented, siloed. And so, it's, the intent behind this is to really kind of break down those silos and get information back, that we can really, track how people are doing.
And the other thing, that I'll quit interrupting, sorry, is, like they have a rep in Duluth, like the Pong yesterday, the rep from Duluth was on there. And when I went to their open house, I met the one that was up in the Red River Valley and Duluth and Rochester. And so it's not just the Twin Cities. If your referral network is broad, based on, what you need is you have access to a little more, statewide. Well, actually, you have 46 states, but I'm just saying they have their reps that are working in those communities that I've actually met.
And then the nice thing with it too is that, again, as they are building or making improvements to the software package as they go along. I mean, there's, like I say, it was very simple, very easy, very intuitive, to click here, type in a few notes, and very quick. It wasn't like, it required you all kinds of, to go through all kinds of screens or all kinds of hoops to get, to the information and to refer the person to the other agency. It was, what she demonstrated was, even I could do it, with my, limited technological skills and background. So I think people would find it very helpful. So we'll have Allison at the February meeting, and we're going to encourage everybody to come and at least sit through the demonstration. It's something she's willing to come out and meet with organizations, and provide demonstrations and get people signed up. I think that's their whole intent, and we'd like to see this really blossom this time. So that's that one. Any questions or comments that people want to bring up? Or
I have a question. Are they partnered with Goodwill? Are they private organization affiliated? Are they standalone?
they're not partnered with Goodwill. She was just at the meeting that we held. In Goodwill. So yeah, they're just a standalone organization, basically nationwide. I can't give you all of their history, but she can. And I think, even for a small organization, they're looking to get as many people connected as they can. And so, if you're doing something in Chisago County, Matt's doing something with housing, to get him listed as a resource provider just makes it that much broader as far as resources available to people who are, in recovery, reentry, coming out of mental health. It just really opens the door to a lot of opportunities. So,
Any questions you might have, she is very fluent in being able to explain the resources and capabilities of what the program is.
I really like that. I think that's very necessary. I think everybody would agree that there's tons of people who want to help, tons of organizations, there's tons of help out there. People just have no idea how to get to it, right? There's a lack of networking and information out there where it's just like, okay, well, I know to go to here for housing, but like I need a job and a car and like I need help. And I don't know where to go. So this is great, providing the networking for that. That's my goal in my ministry, is to not just provide networking, but to actually walk with people through that journey. So, hey, you need to apply for MA? Let's sit down. I'll fill out the forms with you. Like I'll go to your appointment with you and walk with you through the pathway. But this is so necessary to say, okay, great. We're now going to call this place and we're going to help get you some kind of employment and some kind of shelter or whatever else to be able to help with that. I think this is huge.
well, and you as, with your ministry, to know that somebody actually was connected and actually did get some services, get some help, that, as opposed to, I was with corrections for all those years, and frankly, oftentimes, an agent, if somebody's coming out on supervision or they're on probation, and the agent would say, well, go to workforce center. Well, then what? You have no idea if they got there. You have no idea if they got connected with any jobs. You have no idea, did they find employment, or if they moved? Now how do they get connected with employment, 3 counties over, or, this really, I think, opens the the door to allow you to follow up on that.
There is
So-
one aspect that we've asked about too, for you to be able to put one of your clients' information on there. There's a release of information that they need to sign. It doesn't make, you can kind of keep it restricted as far as what's available for everybody else to see, and then have your own box for your own private information. But the release of information is something you talk to them about as far as making referrals and then following up on.
Yeah, and it's all built into the software, so it's not like you have to develop anything new.
Yeah.
It's all there, and it's a very simple process to get that put in, so. Yeah, it seems, pretty much like a no-brainer to a lot of us that saw the demonstration. I mean, it just opens the door to a lot of opportunities, so. It'll be great to have Allison, so I'd encourage you and other organizations, and if you are referring people to other organizations on a regular basis for services, invite them to come to this R3 meeting. It would be great to have more people there, and we'll see how it goes. I think, like I say, in the interim, we are going to get signed up with R3, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully more organizations will sign on. So that was one of the things that we explored. Couple of other things, John, I don't know, and Matt, you were there when we had a presentation by Kairos.
Oh, sure.
And so you guys can jump in with that too. We had 3 staff. Ben Stopp, who is with Kairos now, was at Teen Challenge and did training for the navigators for R3 for peer recovery support providers. Came and presented to us, and just something we want to get information out to folks on as well. They offered up doing the peer support training. It's essentially free. It's the 46-hour course. It's free to individuals, and we'll get information to organizations on that as well. It still requires you to test and to pay your fee for certification, but it was a free service that Kairos is providing. We want people to be aware of that. Maybe you guys want to jump in? Or?
Well, there's actually 3 organizations that we had come and do presentations in regards to the peer recovery support specialists. And Kairos was the most recent.
Right.
And they're probably the most active, but one of them was an Osprey challenge themselves. So there are key challenges to fiscal agent too. The objective that we were looking for is what limitations are we restricted by region or zip code, or what is it? What would not allow them to be a client? And so we have. We're actually zeroing in on a training. So we're doing career training for construction with MSP Demo doing it with another organization. That slips my mind. I'm sure I have it in my briefcase over here. I wasn't ready for this.
It's plenty.
So we're already moving forward with, they do not turn anyone away. They can serve almost, there's very few that are disqualified for mental health.
You're talking applied care services
Thank you.
in White Bear Lake?
Yep.
I don't
So
know if you guys
they
are
have-
familiar with them.
They have a treatment office where, you go in and they do telehealth, they do Zoom, they do in person, they do one-on-one, they offer the most diverse, level of service that I've seen by one organization. Not trying to slide any organization present, but their objective is, in addition, they have a warehouse building that we're going to be working with them on what is called the work therapy, to prepare them alongside with one of our board members, George Gibson, who's here for the beginning here, and then off to the races, but for construction work. So they're actually gonna between the two of them, they'll be OSHA certified, lift certified, forklift certified, numerous certifications. And then it's designed similar to, if anyone's familiar with the union halls, if you have a union job, you pay a chunk of change of your hourly wage to the union, and then you go to union school. It's on that model, but there's no cost to the individual. That way, if there's few hours available or their skills are lacking, you know, their hard and soft skills need a little polishing or improving, or maybe they don't exist, that's where we would start working on them, and the assessment would be done by Applied. And so there'd be a TI assessment, there'd be a chemical assessment. I know it's called substance use disorder now. It's like, what are they going to change it to this year now? It's a new year. You have a new name before the end. But the bottom line is we're looking to serve as much. We're trying to provide the greatest amount of services as we can to the populations we're serving. That's our objective. And that is literally off the ground. It's happening.
One of the things we generally ask when somebody comes in as a presenter, who can't you serve? Because, you know, it's a broad spectrum of clients available across the board, no matter where you're at. Around the states, the fact is, if we have to be watchful of who we can refer to that organization or who we can't refer, we want to know ahead of time and try to get them someplace where they will be accepted, they will get into it, instead of them hearing at the door, okay, can't work with it.
Yeah.
And that's why the R3 collaborative and in collaboration with RAIN has what is called a navigator team. And there's no restrictions. So that means, yes, sometimes we can't bill, but we're not going to turn anyone away for services. And no matter what the services they need, we're able to usually organize that and get them going. You know, the two cardinal records, I'm just watching for the pizza. Oh, there it is. It's on its way. You know, we want to see them have sustainable employment, and it's not just to get a job, but it's to keep it. We want it greater than $18 an hour, which was the last quote unquote, which I'm sure is higher now with the current inflation rates. The last, I was going to say election, but I was not supposed to be political. The objective is sustainable wages and permanent housing. And that's where RAIN Homes partners with is, we're one of the few organizations that I know of that we have a home ownership track. So that's the objective. And it's not that construction is the only option, but construction is still happening. Construction, if you're able-bodied, does pay a little bit better than your McDonald's job, although some McDonald's are up to $15 an hour now.
$18.
Oh, stop it. But, you know, the objective isn't just to get a job and get a paycheck, but what are you going to be happy in? What can we train you for? What can we equip you for career, for long-term? So that's kind of the hidden meta message that you're going to see in 2023 with this organization. And no, the board hasn't voted on yet, but we have had it under discussion, and we'll say, well, our next board meeting is next month, and then we'll go from there. So.
And so, John, you're referring, you know, the construction part he's referring to is RENET. Gibson was here, and it used to be formally known as
CCTP,
Career Construction Training Program. But George, we worked with him. We have a memo of understanding with RENET that R3 signed with the navigators providing support and services, because we know so many times people come out through reentry or, you know, coming through recovery, and they need that support. They need additional resources. They need additional feedback on how they're managing, you know, not just their working life, but their personal life as well, trying to help them get connected, get reconnected with family or whatever the case may be. And so having that essentially mentoring process going on kind of at the same time is something that we're looking at and working with George on, because he's got mentors as well that he's trying to get these individuals that are going through the training connected with. So I think that is going to be a good place for us to be working with these individuals and getting them connected. And there is a grant that they submitted as well that's in process, trying to see if we can get some additional funding through them, essentially, for providing the services that they are working with individuals. Right now, if you do know people, I know George mentioned he's looking to get another class going, and he's keeping it small, generally 5-6 individuals at a time. But they have to be
Minneapolis.
city of Minneapolis resident. So not just Hennepin County broadly, but city of Minneapolis. But there are a few folks living in Minneapolis, so I think we probably come up with
Yep,
a few.
and he's
ideas.
capping it at 5 individuals a month, and it's a 5-day training. And they do get a bus card, similar to what accessibility does, I look at the resume
Mhm.
and OSHA equivalent training.
Yeah.
Et cetera.
And then the other thing is, there's a network, so CCTP was essentially a network of contractors, Associated General Contractors, which is the union arm, the laborers. It's kind of where it started out with Adolphson and Peterson. So there's still that network of individual contractors that want to hire individuals and get them on a path of a construction career, but they also have expanded. They aren't, ignoring the manufacturing sector, machining sector. They have members that they have been connecting with, trying to broaden the job or employment perspective for people. And these are all really good paying jobs. The thing that goes along with that is people have to be willing to jump through those hoops when you have those jobs. You get layoffs, you might be on the bench for a while because the project is completed, or there's all of those challenges that people going to that, Monday through Friday, 9-to-5 job don't have. It's steady, they get a paycheck. Here they might have to take a layoff, collect unemployment for a while, and, be prepared for that. And that's part of the training that George puts on is how do you prepare for this? If this happens, then what? Because we've seen a lot of people, they can do the work, but when they're on the bench or laid off, then things tend to go sideways and they get back into old habits and end up back in jail or prison, or need to go back through recovery and treatment. And so trying to better prepare them for that is where we're at with that. So
And sometimes that's just a holiday weekend, so you got an extended weekend, Friday and Monday off too. That longer period of time where there's not work to go to. We saw that repeatedly when I was working at Tech down where they're just, they don't know what to do. They can deal with 2 days, but 4 or 5 days.
Well, and the other challenges, construction especially is, and other manufacturing, machining, what have you. You tend to develop friendships within that group of employees. And when they all want to go hang out at the bar, at the end of the week, or somebody brings the case of beer, at the end of the week, so they can all sit around and have a few beers. It's not going to work for a lot of people, and they need to know how to navigate that.
Yes.
And that's definitely a challenge. So that's the RENET part that we're working on. Another thing we expanded on, or trying to expand on, and would like to get some feedback on, interest from this group. We did apply, R3 as an organization applied, and it was brought to light by Dwight Anderson with the Correctional Ministers and Chaplains Association, which he's a member of. There was essentially an advertisement for, through the Education Justice Project, EJP, which I believe is out of Illinois. And essentially, it was an offer to organizations to go through a couple-day training to develop at least, or get the information they need to start to develop a reentry guide for your particular state. And it was something that was interesting to us, and we did put in an application, but the course is being run in January. We were not selected for the January course because they had a great deal of people applying, great number of organizations applying. But they did respond back to us and said that they're looking between March and April to do another program. And along with this, it comes to the organizations that participate. It comes with a $2,500 stipend or grant back to your organization to help you develop a reentry guide for your state. So it was something that we were interested in. We have folks that have been involved in reentry for a number of years, Mary and Mary up on the screen as example. And even though there are, steps that people go through in reentry, there isn't a comprehensive reentry guide for the state. And what Illinois put together looks very impressive. I looked at through their process. I don't know how many pages it was. I lost count after a while, but it was a very extensive reentry guide that organizations could use within that state or within that region, essentially, for people engaged in reentry. So it's another thing that we're looking at, and if in fact we're selected for that, we had some of the navigators that had, indicated that they would go through the training. But then we would want to connect with as many organizations as possible as we develop this reentry guide. And I think it would fit nicely with that Unite Us software as well. I mean, it's, you can maybe cut down on the 200 or 300 page reentry guide if you have a software program that provides a lot of resources as opposed to you trying to list those resources. And we all know in my time at Corrections too, we found we were always chasing our tails with, developing a guidebook, or what was the one we had, the employee program. Well, the employee program is still going, but what was it, something to the streets. Yeah, and, trying to keep that fresh and trying to keep the organizations updated that are in there, phone numbers, contacts, all of those things. Was just always a challenge, and you were always chasing your tail trying to make that happen. Randy, the pizza's here. You gotta hang around. Somebody can help you.
Gotta go there, you have to do it.
Yeah, but he ordered up extra pizza just for you, not you.
Yes.
There is, Randy. We'll see you. But that's one of the things too that we're engaged in and trying to move forward with. See if we can get selected for that. And hopefully get a lot of you folks participating in this, something that we're looking at. What else have we got going, Matt? I've been to a couple of these meetings.
Let's see. Well, you covered the last two, so. Boy, that was the release facility. I think that was
Unitas was the one that kind of the big one. The other thing that we are doing is we are entering some additional resources. We're going to get them loaded up on the R3 website. John and I talked about that this morning, and we'll have some discussions with the board. But we've got a couple more organizations that have said, hey, we'd like to be listed on that website so that people can go to that website and pull them up as potential resources. And so the applied care services that John mentioned was Mara Hansen, who was there and presented on that. And then North Star Regional, I don't know, many of you maybe know Tim Walsh moved from Team Challenge North Star Regional treatment, and mental health. And so we're trying to get those loaded up. We're trying to get our website, added resources to that, so.
We gotta head out too. We have a 12:30 as well.
Everybody's got a 12:30. Sorry, you get on the window, take a piece of pizza, put it in your pocket, slide it in your folio.
Oh my God. Well, I'm a peer specialist on our team. I didn't say, I didn't realize. I'm Claire Weatherly. I'm a peer specialist. So we, I
You have a card?
yes, I have here. I gave it to Sarah and pass out since I gotta go.
Oh.
So if you guys want to contact me. Yeah.
Yep.
I would love to connect more with all of you and I hope to attend another one of these. Thank you for having us. Sorry.
Thank you for being here, and we'll be really looking forward to seeing you, hoping to tell you.
Still a piece of work.
All right. All right, thank you.
So one, our crisis resource website, social services mn.org is a place where you can log in and comment and rate on Minnesota crisis resources. And also if you request upgraded access, you can upload crisis resources as well. New Way is listed there, People's Incorporated is listed there, Freedom Works is listed there.
Hi, guys. Hey, guys. Want to interrupt just to ask a quick question. Is there any interest on the part of the R3 membership in a presentation by an attorney that specializes in applying for Social Security, applying for Social Security disability? They're one of the referenced attorneys by Hennepin County, have sliding scales. I've used them in the past. Is there an interest?
If he wants more work.
This attorney handles everything to do with Social Security. Many of the people coming out of prison, I'm not sure, but I think they have to reapply. Social Security benefits are cut off when they go to prison, and I don't think they automatically reinstate just because they walk out the door. I think they've got to have forms filed and before they get their money. And I know, just homeless people that I worked with, a lot of them never applied for Social Security or been rejected and think that's final, and don't know that even if you were rejected 10 years ago, the rules and regs may have changed enough that an appeal today might get you your benefits.
Sounds interesting, Bill. We can talk more about it later, and we'll get the information from you, and we'll get it on a future meeting.
Okay, cool.
All right. Sounds great. That's kind of it in a nutshell with our planning session today. And from what we're hearing from everybody, I think there's a lot of good things that we can keep moving forward with. That's your feedback. Go ahead, Blake.
I just have one question. There was some talk last year about a mentoring workshop or mentoring conference or anything. Are we doing anything like that, or collaborating or something?
Right now, what we're doing, and we're in the planning stages with Minnesota Corrections Association to do a spring training, not necessarily just mentoring, but Mark Groves, who many of you know from the mentoring workshops, is involved in that as well. He's the current president of MCA. And we're looking at doing a one-day training / conference in Wilmer area this May. It'll be a Tuesday in May. We haven't nailed the exact one yet, but that's going to be kind of the springboard for the impetus to kind of start pulling organizations together again and get going with mentoring organizations. This is going to be kind of more of a panel type presentation by resources that are currently, programs and resources in the prisons, and how that handoff occurs to the community. We're looking at engaging the ROCs.
HRU units.
And in that one-day presentation. So we'll get more information to everybody, get it, and then load it up on the R3 website. We're looking at doing it at the Assemblies of God Church out in Wilmot, correct?
Correct.
So
We're already set up.
yep. So that's going to be in May, and looking to get as many people there as possible too. So That's what we got. We better eat some pizza before everybody leaves. Because otherwise, John and I are gonna have an awful lot of pizza.
You can bring it in my house.
There you go. So that's all we have today for those of you online, and we will look forward to our next meeting. It will be a presentation from Allison, and I think it'll be very productive. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. Those of you who are here, we're gonna eat, and you guys head for your refrigerators, and we'll see you next time.
We'll be thinking of you.